Hi there. I'm so excited to welcome you to the Arthritis Life podcast, where we share arthritis life stories and tips for thriving with autoimmune arthritis. My name is Cheryl Crow, and I am passionate about helping people navigate real life with arthritis beyond joint pain. I've been living with rheumatoid arthritis for 20 years, and I'm also a mom, occupational therapist, video creator, support group leader, and I created the Room to Thrive self-management program. I am so excited to help you live a more empowered life with arthritis. We're going to cover everything from kitchen life hacks to navigating the healthcare system to coping with friends who just don't get it. Seriously, no topic is going to be off limits on this podcast. My interviewees and I share our honest stories of how chronic illness affects our lives. This includes discussions about mental health, sex, shame, pregnancy, body image, advocacy, self-acceptance, and so much more. You'll hear stories from all ends of the spectrum, from a person who's living in medicated remission from psoriatic arthritis to somebody living with severe mobility restrictions and severe pain from rheumatoid arthritis. You'll hear how people manage their conditions in different ways, like medications, mindfulness, movement, social support, work accommodations, and so much more. You'll also hear from rheumatology experts who just get it. We'll dive deep into the science behind chronic pain and what's the latest evidence for lifestyle changes that can help you thrive with arthritis, including exercise, sleep, nutrition, stress reduction, and more. This is your chance to sit down and chat with a friend who's been there. Ready to figure out how to manage your arthritis life? Let's get started. I'm so excited today to have someone I have loved watching them on that sounds creepy, on social media or connecting with them on social media. Never talked to in real time before today. So welcome, James Hollens, to the Arthritis Life podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Likewise, I've enjoyed stalking you as well in the background. And it's an honor to be here with you today, actually having a proper conversation.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. And I just thought we'd start by you just letting us know, where do you live? Also, where are you from? And what is your relationship to arthritis?
So I live and I'm from South London, England. And my relationship with arthritis, sometimes it's a toxic one. Sometimes we get along. It's just one of them relationships there. I've got rheumatoid arthritis and ankylosing spondylitis. I try and see it for the good person that it is sometimes, but sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I'll make little flips for it. Like I try and see it as being like kind of like the best personal trainer and like life coach I could have, because it sort of inspired me to be as healthy and as active as I can. But other times it beats me down, and yeah, that's when the toxicity comes out.
I love that. No, I think it's always fun to see how people interpret, that question. And yeah, I think with many of us, it's an up and down relationship with our own bodies, and what's going on with
for
it.
sure.
So I love
just never
that.
smooth sailing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned you have rheumatoid arthritis and ankylosing spondylitis. I'll admit, I didn't even know till like a few years ago, or maybe 5 years ago, that you could have both. I thought it was an either or, but I'm curious. So how and when, like how old were you when you got diagnosed? Was it an easy or hard process? What's your diagnosis story, AKA saga? We often call it a saga because it's often convoluted.
I mean, I was the same. I didn't even know ankylosing spondylitis existed until I was in a hospital bed getting told I had it. So I mean, I've got two stories for you. I've got the ankylosing spondylitis story. I've got the rheumatoid arthritis story. You want me to break down both of them?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
We've got
Okay.
time.
So all right. So I was just finishing I've just finished university. I was 21 years old. And I was planning to move to China because I really wanted to go and explore the world a bit, because I was doing a degree in geography and I was writing all these articles and essays and things like that on countries I'd never even seen. So I was like, you know what, it's time to go out there and actually see if everything I put in my thesis was a lie or not. You know what I mean? So
I love that. Yeah.
yeah. I'm even wearing the Chinese clothes today. I'm repping Shanghai, even from South London again. But
I love it.
yeah, so I was doing like a course on like teaching English, because that was like the sort of the idea, the best way I could get out there. And in the meantime, I was working in a bar, like restaurant, just like whilst I was finishing my course and finding a job there and all the visa stuff and things like this. And I remember, because obviously it's like bar work. Sometimes you're working late, sometimes you're working early. And one of my friends called me and was like, "Oh, do you want to go out for a few drinks tonight?" And I'm thinking, yeah, like I'm not working until like 6 p.m. tomorrow. Let's do it. So I've gone out. When I've woken up the next morning, I'm sort of a bit wobbling. And I'm thinking, oh, I must have overdone it on the dance floor. I must have thought I was Shakira or something, and my hips are
Yeah.
lying to me now, you know. So I'm like, it's painful, but it's sort of like I can still wobble about a bit. So I've gone into work. I completely think it's like all me. And like all my co-workers are sort of like teasing me, like, "Oh, here comes Hop Along," just like wobbling around and stuff. And I'm thinking, yeah, fair enough. Like I can't say anything. I've obviously done stuff. Maybe I've fallen over. I don't know. Um, but like then like for like 2 weeks, I was still like it was getting worse. I was like limping more and more. And I'm thinking I must have done some serious like damage here. Like what's going on?
Mhm.
Um, and then one day when I've woken up to go to work, like I'm in absolute agony. Like I can't move. I can't get out of bed. I'm like screaming. Like at this time, so I was living with my parents. So my dad's come in and like I had this sort of like gravitational pull of pain, just like forcing me against like the mattress. So like the more I try and move to get out, like the more intense the pain is, and my legs are swollen, like really like red and just like ballooned up. And I was just an absolute mess. I couldn't move. My dad basically had to like fireman lift me to the hospital, like to like I think you call it an emergency room, like the A&E. He's taking me there, and these I'm 21 years old, um, and I get seen by them, and they tell me, oh, they think it's cellulitis. So I'm like, cool, just give me the meds. Because it's like swollen and red, like they thought it was like an infection or something. So they're giving me that, and it's just getting worse. Like, and so I'm going back like next week. They're like, "Oh, we think you've got a cyst, and it's popped, and that's what the liquid is." And these at this point, they're having to like pop my knee and like suck out all of the fluids and that because it's just like it's so ballooned that I can't move it. It's like rock solid from the inflammation on the joints, and then it's gone to my foot as well.
Mhm.
So they're like, okay, it's this, and it's a cyst. They gave me something for the cyst. I think they injected me with something. Um, so I've done that. I've gone back, and it's still getting worse and worse. And like my pain's increasing. I can move in even less and less. Like these points, I'm going in like a wheelchair. Um, and they're saying, oh, I think what was the next one? Blood clots. They're like, we think you've got blood clots. So they injected me with like blood thinning things, and like all these times, I'm not seeing anyone from the rheumatology department. It's just like all like the emergency room doctors that are seeing me, and I'm just go. So basically, at this point, like it went on and on for like months. So like probably 4 or 5 months, I was just going back and back and getting told like a completely different diagnosis to the point where I was not even believing. Like I knew I go there, they say something, I take the pills, nothing happens, it gets worse, so I go back. So I was just going on and on and on. And like my boss is thinking that I'm lying to him because every time he's asking, "Can you come back to work?" And
Mhm.
I've got a new reason why I
Diagnosis.
can't work. They're like, "What are they
Yeah.
saying?" "Oh, it's this." So he thinks I'm just absolutely lying to him because I'm like, "Wait, you told me it was a cyst last week. Now you're telling me it's cellulitis." Like, so I'm like, I don't even know, man. And so I'm getting all that pressure.
Oh.
Um, but so basically, that back and forth, like 4 months or something like that later, they finally sent me to a rheumatologist. And like these times, I don't even know what a rheumatologist is. I just know it's another doctor. They're like specialized. So I've gone to go see the rheumatology
Mhm.
like team, and the guy literally he just looked at me, like checked all my joints, gave me a little rub down and all that, and then he goes, oh yeah, this looks like rheumatoid arthritis. So I'm thinking, all right, cool, doctor. Like what do I take and how long does it take to go away and all this? And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, no, this is something that you've got for life. It's not like because obviously my interactions with doctors up to that point was I have a problem, I go see them, I take a few drugs, 1 week, whatever, I'm back to normal. So then it hit me, but it didn't fully hit me because I was so used to being like misdiagnosed that even this one I was like, all right, cool, that's this week's flavor of the month. Do you know what I mean? I'm like
Totally.
like next week I'm gonna have something else. So like, okay, this week I have rheumatoid arthritis. So it hit me. And when
Right.
he said like, oh, you got this for life, I was like, wow, like I really hope this one's wrong too. Um, but when they put me on like the medication for it, like when it hit me like it's weird because when the medication started to work, that's when I was most scared because I was like, oh wait, it actually is
Yeah.
this one, and this is the lifelong one, you know. So
Right.
up until that point, I didn't really I didn't really like feel it as much. But then
Right.
when it started working, obviously I'm happy that my pain's getting better and I have like the mobility is going up. But I'm like, oh my God, I actually do have this lifelong condition. Um,
Mhm.
so, but obviously because it was so long for me to get that diagnosis, like I was in a really bad way with my like my inflammation and my pain and stiffness and everything. So it like took it basically from when I woke up that day to when I was able to walk by myself again was probably about 10 months, 11 months, something like that.
Oh,
So I took so I'm still trying to get this China job going and I'm getting these offers and I'm like, God, I hope I'm be able to walk by the time this starts.
wow.
So I'm like doing the interviews, like obviously I'm sitting down so they can't see that I
Yeah.
can't get up. Um, but
That's Wait,
yeah,
and so
so but
at this point, when you got your diagnosis, had you started having pain in multiple joints, or was it still only the knee?
it was multiple joints, but it was like basically my hips down.
Hips
So
down.
it,
Okay.
or maybe not my hips actually at that point. So it was basically my knees, my ankles, my toes, just
Yeah.
yeah, knee down. Everything there was just swollen and just stiff and just like yeah, like completely
Oh,
ruined. So that I couldn't do anything then at all, really. But I did end up having this job, and luckily, like I was able to get myself back on my feet in time to start. I did start a little bit later. I was meant to be there in September. I think I was there in like October or something like that. But luckily the visa took long, so I could blame it on the visa instead of
wow.
my like. But I hid that from them. Like I didn't tell them that I had all of that.
What?
And
So
I was just so motivated.
this was teaching English in China.
Yeah, I was teaching English,
Oh,
and so obviously it was kindergarten, so it was going to take a lot running off kids and that. So,
yeah.
but I
Wow.
had because in a way I'm so glad I had that idea before because it gave me the motivation to like really work on like that recovery because I was
Hmm.
like I need to get out there. I put all this time and effort and money into doing all of this. Like I'm gonna do this for me, and I'm gonna celebrate in China when I with my legs walking metal free after this, you know. So like that definitely kept me going. So luckily I did make it over there. Managed to find a way to get my medication there. It was actually quite simple. Like you didn't even need a prescription for like methotrexate and that over there. Like you just paid for it.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. And there was like no limit. I just went into the pharmacy. I don't know if it's different now, but I just went to the pharmacy and got it there. So it was like really, really like simple because at that time I was on methotrexate, hydroxychloroquine, and folic acid, and all three I could just buy over the counter over
That's
there. So it was
awesome.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I actually was in China during part of my pregnancy. Actually, my husband was working there in
Oh
Shanghai. So
wow.
yeah,
You're
I
in
was with
Shanghai.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool. So sorry, that's a little connection point. But yeah, I remember at that point I had weaned off of methotrexate, of course, to get pregnant because you're
Mm,
not supposed to be pregnant with that one.
yeah.
And so I was on Remicade, which lasted 8 weeks, so I could go visit him and then come back home and get the infusion. That's my story. But I think
Wicked.
it's remarkable that didn't let this that you stayed with your goal of going to Shanghai because I think it would be it's a huge I mean going somewhere where not a lot of people speak English is really scary and potentially overwhelming. Maybe I'm projecting, maybe you're more adventurous than I am, but I think that's really cool that you did that, you know?
But that was one of the reasons I wanted to go to China, because I wanted to learn Chinese. And actually, like the first city I moved to was called Guangzhou and not Shanghai. And no one speaks English there.
Guangzhou.
So so it was a good place to learn English, but obviously a good place to learn Chinese because you have to survive. But at the same time, obviously the jump is even bigger when there's nothing like that there.
And you've traveled a lot. I mean, I've seen your amazing pictures on social media that you're all over the globe. And I want to hear more on that too. But so you got RA diagnosis. That's your first bingo board. We call it the chronic illness
on
bingo.
The checklist.
You got misdiagnosis. And I really do want to say, for the record, for anyone listening, because I try to intersperse these educational tidbits, that once you start having bilateral joint pain, it's like a major indicator that there's something systemic going on versus like just a cyst or whatever. So it's easy. We call it in the US like Monday morning quarterback, when you're like, oh, they should have seen. But once it became bilateral, it's like you should have been referred to rheumatology. If they asked me, you should have been referred to rheumatology earlier, because that's the cardinal sign. You should never, like if it's carpal tunnel, you're going to have it in one wrist. I mean, yes, you technically could get it in both, but once you have both wrists and then also your knuckles and then also your elbows and your hips and then you're looking at something like an inflammatory arthritis versus like an injury or
I think the fact I was young was one of the reasons why it took so long.
Well, and you're male, I wonder too. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, quite possibly. I don't really know that part of it, but I think that obviously the stereotypes of arthritis being like an older person's condition that even I had, because when they told me arthritis, all I remember is, oh yeah, my grandma has that, she's 93. So I'm like, that's why I thought it was maybe even more wrong. But I feel like even like quite a lot of like the medical community, they probably have them sort of stereotypes in them too. So that's why it takes longer for younger people to get the diagnosis.
Yeah, that's but babies can get inflammatory arthritis too. So yeah, these are conditions that anyone can get. But you're right that the majority of people who present in the ER with horrible knee pain and ballooning of their knee joint, it's like an injury or like a little process that's just happening in the knee, not like a full autoimmune.
Exactly. I think that's the only nice thing I can say about these conditions is that it doesn't discriminate who it's going to attack. Like you can be young, old, black, white, male, female, like you can get it. Like they're good in that way. Like they don't discriminate who they're gonna attack and that. But that's the thing. But there's still them sort of like stigmas and stereotypes about the sort of people that have this. That's why people like yourself are doing a great job at like breaking that down as well.
Well, you too. And I know in rheumatoid arthritis, statistically, it's more common in women than men, but in the chronic illness communities and the arthritis community online, there's definitely a lot more women voices than male voices. So that is something I want to talk to you about, but about what's been like, being a male voice in this space. But I first want to hear, how did you then get diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis? If you have ever felt completely lost or utterly alone while trying to navigate real life with rheumatic disease, listen up. I am here for you. I created an educational program to help you go from overwhelmed to confident, supported, and connected in a matter of weeks. And it's called Room to Thrive. After earning a master's in occupational therapy and completing hundreds of hours of additional training, I created a step-by-step guide to help you truly thrive with rheumatic disease. This is the only program I know of that's designed to improve quality of life for people living with inflammatory, autoimmune forms of arthritis, like rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, non-radiographic axial spondyloarthritis, Sjogren's disease, and more. During the self-paced lessons, you'll learn how to manage pain and fatigue, cope with stress, navigate relationships, and continue doing the things that matter to you and bring you joy. The goal is really to help you improve your quality of life and learn how to thrive with your rheumatic disease right now, rather than waiting for a distant day when it might be cured or healed. I really created the down-to-earth, practical, heartfelt resource I wish I had had when I was first diagnosed at age 20. If you want even more in-depth support, you can join the 12-week Room to Thrive virtual support group, where you'll be surrounded by people who actually get what you're going through, people who will provide the encouragement, validation, and support that you deserve. Each group is expertly moderated, so you don't have to worry about the kind of misinformation that spreads like wildfire in the free-for-all social media groups. If you're on the fence, don't just take my word for it. Here's what Katie had to say in March 2023. I was lost and overwhelmed with my RA diagnosis. It felt overwhelming to know what to read, what to do, how to spend my energy trying to research on the internet. Room to Thrive did that for me. It's been like getting a crash course in my diagnosis along with a community who gets it. To see all the details, including the dates for the next support groups, go to the link in the show notes or bit.ly/thriveroom with a capital T and capital R. You can also just email me anytime at info@myarthritislife.net. And don't delay if you're interested, because each group is capped at 16 people or less in order to make a small, intimate group atmosphere. Thanks so much for your time, and I can't wait to get started with the next groups. And I can't wait for those of you who are interested in the self-paced option to go ahead and join that at any time. Bye-bye for now.
Okay, so I made it to China. Everything is going good. I'm there for about like two and a half years. I've moved cities. I'm in Shanghai now. I've got like a new job. I'm not teaching anymore. I'm doing more office. It's still in education, but I'm in the office. And I've never had a job like that before, because obviously when you're teaching like kindergarten kids, you're on your feet a lot of the time. You're a bit more active, right? So sitting down in a chair all day, I'm starting to get these back pains, and I'm thinking it's because I'm sitting funny on this chair or something like that, or I'm just not used to being sit down for like prolonged periods like this. So I've gone to a doctor. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting these back pains, and he's telling me, oh, I think it's like maybe you got some muscle like issues, and I'm thinking, yeah, he's telling me I got muscles. Like that's kind of a little ego boost, you know? Like, yeah, the gym's working out. Come on. So
I love it.
He's telling me, oh, go get, I think he gave me muscle relaxers. And I think I got some acupuncture. He gave me some acupuncture.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the muscle relaxers did absolutely nothing. But the acupuncture, every time I went, I got a different person. And I feel like depending on who did it, the relief changed. Mm-hmm. So I had one guy just like flicking them in, and it was really good. I had one guy like stabbing me, and it did nothing. So like every time the amount of relief I got like changed. But anyway, it still progressed anyway. So it got worse and worse. And I was getting ready. It was Chinese New Year. So Chinese New Year is like kind of like, I don't know, your summer holidays or whatever when you're in school. So like you have like everyone gets like a few weeks off work. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go to India. I wanted to go like backpacking around India, because I wanted to stay in China, but if you haven't got Chinese family, Chinese New Year is not that good, because it's just more like family time. So it's best to like go explore or whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do like a little few weeks around India. But I didn't have a backpack, which if you're going backpacking is quite essential. So I've heard. So I was like, okay, let me go get a backpack. And there was like a shop that sold backpacks like a mile or two away from my work. So I was like, I'm gonna walk there. It was one of them awkward locations where there's no subway near it. So like I had to walk there, but I'm close to it anyway, so I'll just walk down and go grab it, and then I'll come back. And it was Friday night after work. I've gone to go pick it up, and I'm walking around this shop, and I'm like, I've never felt this like level of fatigue before. Like completely just zombie walking around this place. Anyway, I bought my things, and I'm like, I can't even walk back to the subway station. I'm just gonna get a cab back. So I've jumped in a cab back to mine, and it's Saturday night. So Friday night. My friends are all like, yeah, we're going out. And like, I'm not one to turn down a Friday night. Yeah. So that's how I knew something was wrong. Because I'm like, oh no, I need to like sleep, man. I'm dead. So I literally just went straight to bed as soon as I got inside. And when I woke up, actually, one more thing, the doctor told me to get like a mattress topper
Oh,
because he said it'd be better for my back if I got a mattress topper. So I got I think it was a memory foam one. So you
mm-hmm.
sort of sink into it. So I'm gone to bed on that. And when I've woken up, I've got that other gravitational force of pain just holding me down, but this time like all down my spine. Like my spine is completely just on fire, and I literally can't get out. And because I'm in this memory foam mattress, it's sort of like I'm sort of stuck in it, and I'm
Oh
kind of
dear.
like I felt like I don't know, like a spider but gets stuck in a sink,
Yeah,
and I'm just
yeah.
trying to crawl out, and I'm just rolling. Like I can't, I like literally could not get out.
Oh
I'm in
my
absolute
gosh.
agony. I couldn't even see to look down to see that my joints had also swollen up, like because I couldn't even move my neck. Like I'm just there, stiff, rigid, like in pain. Luckily, I had housemates and they helped me get out. But we're on like I don't know, we're on like the eighth floor, and there's no the elevator. So he's like, I've got like one guy behind me, one guy in front of me, just like moving my legs down. Like it was the longest journey down the stairwell I've ever seen. I had no crutches or anything. I'm just
Wow.
wobbling down, and they've taken me to the hospital. Um, and at first, I remember when I first got it, so they give me crutches straight away. The guy's seen me and he's telling me, "Oh, come back tomorrow or later."
What?
So I'm like, okay. Like they've taken like bloods and like urine samples and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, this is like something serious, but like we can't do anything right now. So I've gone to leave. And as I've literally just made outside the door and I started having like a panic attack of pain. Like
Yeah.
I thought I was having a heart attack, but I think afterwards it was a panic attack. But it was like the pain and like the anxiety and just the confusion of everything. So I'm on crutches wobbling. Luckily, there was a doctor having a cigarette break, and he like dashed his cigarette and like
Oh,
dragged me inside. And after I've gone inside, they're like, okay, yeah, like you're a mess. They're like, okay, we're gonna like admit you. So they put me in a wheelchair.
oh, good.
So I'm speaking to the doctor that speaks English. It's like he's got an international one, but the hospital where they admit you is just Chinese. So like I speak Chinese, but I don't know medical Chinese. That's why I went to that one because I don't even know medical English. If someone told me ankylosing spondylitis, I think they're still talking Mandarin. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
so okay, we're gonna admit you because like there's some obviously like something's happening now. So they've tried to before they've done that, they've tried to do like an MRI and they've tried to do scans, but I can't move my body onto the machine and you're not allowed metal inside like the whole room. So and they didn't have any like wood and anything to help me lift me up. So my body was so like mashed up that I couldn't even get scanned.
Wow.
So so instead they've just taken me to like the hospital bed. Um and as I walked in, no, I didn't walk in. As I'm wheeled in,
Yeah.
um, the doctor said in Chinese to like the porter, I guess, like, oh, what's wrong with this foreigner? Has he been like drinking or something? But like, he didn't know I understood him. But I was like, listen, doctor, like, no, but if you've got a beer, please bless me with one right now. Like, it's been a long day. Like, but it's crazy because I thought my RA was related from me going on a night out, and the doctor thought my AS was alcohol related too. Just because you come in as a young person, like a young man, on a
Yeah.
Saturday afternoon or whatever, I thought it was like a drunk thing.
Oh,
But
so
anyway,
frustrating.
yeah. So I've stayed. I don't. I'm to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure how many days I stayed in that hospital because I was on some crazy painkillers. Like
Hmm.
they injected me with something, and like I was texting my mom back home, like messages that wasn't English, wasn't Chinese, wasn't anything. I don't know. It was just loads of letters, like
Yeah. Yeah.
alphabetic spaghetti text messages, sending left, right, and center. Um, and so I'm just basically there, and because they can't scam me or anything, they're just running on like bloods or whatever like that. And I think I was lucky that I had the RA diagnosis for them to have like thought about it. So basically, one
Yeah.
day, I don't know how many days later, I've been woken up by the doctor. He tells me, "Listen, we think you've got ankylosing spondylitis." Um, And I'm thinking, and I'm hear that word, and it's got too many syllables. You know, like when a
Humanly.
medical
Yeah.
condition is so long, like the longer it is, the more deathly it sounds. Like the more that's the way I thought it. I'm like, okay, how long have I got? Like, what are you telling me? It's like, no, it's not like that. But it's like the thing is, we can't treat you at this hospital for that. But so you got to go to the specialist one. So I've got to jump in a cab to the other side of Shanghai, and Shanghai's a big city.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like having a mentee B, a little mental breakdown
Mm-hmm.
in the taxi there. So I'm thinking, what is it? And there's no Google in China, and there's no like a lot, because obviously a lot of things are blocked, so I can't really even search for it. So I'm messaging my mom like, yo, what is this? And I don't even know like how to spell it. I think because he just said this long word really quickly to me. I'm like, yo, can you check this? I think like, and so my mom's like trying to Google it back home. I'm trying to message my mom to like find out exactly what it is. Whilst I'm
What
going to the
year?
specialist.
What year was this?
This is 2019.
2019. Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Just understand.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, so yeah, I'm like what 24, 5, something like that.
Okay.
Um, that's pretty terrible maths, but yeah. So
No,
no, I don't know how old it is, but yeah. So
approximately. In your
something like that.
you're still in your early 20s.
Early 20s. Let's
Yeah.
call
Like, so you're
it.
young, like out there, in a new city, even though you speak
Yeah,
some Mandarin, you're still kind of obviously, yeah. You don't know medical, you don't know rheumatology. Man,
yeah.
like who would
I'm
know
there like
that?
I'm from England. I like. What do you mean? Like, what do you do for work? What's your favorite color? Not what's your favorite chronic illness? Like that
Yeah.
didn't come up in my in my classes yet.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've gone to the specialist. Waited hours to be seen. When I finally get seen, they're like, so I've not actually got an official diagnosis right now because they can't do that because they don't have any scans and stuff. But they're
Mhm.
like, if it is that, don't worry, we've got the best physio stuff, we've got all the medication, we've got the rheumatologist, we've got everyone here. But they're all on holiday because it's Chinese New Year. So we can see you in about 3 months. What? Like my body is mashed up now. Like I can't wait 3 months. I can barely wait 3 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So I basically had to come back. So they basically kicked me out. Well, not kicked me out of hospital, but I can't stay there. So I've had to go back and book a flight um back to London because I've messaged my rheumatologist. God bless her, man. She's amazing. Like she was like, yeah, I'll see you second you're here. I'll come sort you out. So I've literally had to book like book a flight. And when I've been packing my bag, still on these crazy painkillers. My friends helped me to pack my bag. And I remember her asking me, like, are you sure this is enough? Like, I'm like, yeah. And I remember the first when I got home, I opened my suitcase. I had like a few pieces of paper, a football shirt, and like 3 pairs of pants. And like that was it. Like underwear. Like I left everything in China because like I wasn't thinking straight at all.
Oh no.
So I've got all my stuff in China. Um and yeah, so luckily I made it back. I had to go on a wheelchair. They tried to not let me board the plane as well, because the guy thought that I was like at risk. But luckily, so we was flying British Airways or it was an English or an American, Virgin maybe, and he's tried to call up like headquarters, like don't let this guy on. I had a right to fly letter and everything, but because his English was so bad, she like asked him to put me on the phone. But I could kind of understood like the bad English what he was trying to say. So I was like, don't listen to this guy. I've got a letter right now. Like I'm
Mhm.
not gonna die on your plane. I might moan a bit, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry if I disrupt your customer's experience, but yeah, I'm just trying to get back and see a doctor. So I
Yeah.
managed to get back, and then it was like it was probably another few months before I could get my official diagnosis for that too. Again, I was getting my joints like stabbed, like emptied, I guess. Like, I remember
Yeah.
the first time when I went to go see my rheumatologist, she had to get like one of the other doctors to like check my knee to make sure she wasn't going to stab into my muscle because it was so
That's
like hard. Like the inflammation balloon was so like hard. She was like, I don't know if that's muscle under there or that's just like really, really built up like joint fluid. And when she stabbed it in, like literally it erupted like a volcano. Like the needle went flying in the air, just like spurting everywhere. Like I felt like all over her, all over me. I kind of wish I filmed it. It was like it was disgusting, but kind of cool. But
Wow.
I hope I don't have another opportunity to make that video. But
Oh my God.
yeah,
Oh, that's,
um,
yeah, I know. I have never had to have my knees drained. I know my friend Allie, she's had that numerous times. And yeah, it
it's
is
horrible.
a very painful, yeah, thing.
But for me, it's not pain; it's discomfort because
Mm,
you can feel this like little like needle like wobbling around your bones and all that. But like it doesn't, because you are getting a release at the same time. So maybe the pain is sort of like balanced out by the fact that
yeah.
the pressure is going down. But it's just feeling that little intruder in your skin.
Oh,
That's the most disgusting part.
oh my
But yeah,
gosh.
so then I got my official diagnosis a few months later because I had to wait for MRIs and things. And the first MRI I did, they didn't even look for AS. They just wrote about because I had some slip discs as well that I didn't know about. So the MRI
I
report
see.
just mentioned slip disc. So my rheumatologist is like, wait, what about the whole like AS thing that we're looking for? So I had to go back and do another one because they couldn't do it for some reason. So I'm like,
Gosh.
okay, all right then. Um, so that was a few months, and then I had to wait like maybe like another month or two to get my medication done. So that was like another year of my life where like I was on wheelchair or crutches, and I recovered just in time for COVID. So I was
Oh
just gonna go
God.
back to China, and then COVID happened in China, and then COVID happened everywhere else. So then I was locked inside again. You know what I mean? So it was just bad
Oh,
timing, but at least I made it out to use my legs
well,
again.
God. Oh my gosh. I didn't even connect those dots because yeah, I asked what year this was, and I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, you're just unlucky. And, yeah, typically, again, just interjecting a little teachable moment is that rheumatoid arthritis does not tend to typically, but like I said, there's exceptions to every rule, does not tend to affect the spine. And if it does, it's the cervical spine, like way higher up in your neck. It can, you can have RA with some spine pain, but typically if you're starting to have really bad back pain and hip pain, like the bigger joints, shoulders, hips, back, that's like a symptom of ankylosing spondylitis or another. There's the whole family of spondyloarthropathies, which actually coincidentally, non-intuitively includes psoriatic arthritis, and ankylosing spondylitis and non-radiographic axial spondyloarthritis. Even more.
Yo, you smashed
So,
the pronunciation right there. I would have butchered it.
oh, I've had to practice. But
Yeah.
so that leads me to my next question of, so you were saying that you were just waiting to get on the treatments. How has the treatment journey been going for you? Like in terms of like, have the medications worked or has it been up and down? And
Be honest, like my medication, I've got so lucky. Like what my for my AS medication, I'm on over here we call it Etanercept. I think you call it Enbrel over there. Um,
yes.
and that was the first biologic I tried, and it kicked in. Well, not instantly, of course, but like I've not had to change. I've not had to change those. Like I'm one of the lucky ones. I know. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like hopefully, God willing, I can keep it that way. You know what I mean? But what we're like, what 5 years deep, and it's still going well. Um,
Are you
to
still on
be honest,
methotrexate too?
I'm still on
Yeah,
methotrexate as well.
that's, yeah.
Yeah,
Often
they
that's
they
done. Yeah. Sorry.
with the idea of trying to stop it, and then I got some psoriasis problems as well. But when I stopped the methotrexate, the psoriasis went crazy. So they're like, okay,
Hmm.
back on you go, kind of thing. I'm on a lot less than I was before. I was on a lot before, but
Hmm.
I'm still on both of them. To be honest, I can't remember my first RA treatments, whether it was that or not, because I was on so many different like
Yeah.
medications for the other stuff they thought it was. Like it's kind of hard to keep track of what was I on all the time, and I was proper out of it. Like I was just drained emotionally and physically that I can't remember. But let's say it was that I stopped taking the hydroxychloroquine. They told me to come off that, and I didn't feel any changes after.
That's
But
good.
yeah, the methotrexate and the Enbrel, they've been good to me. I can't lie. I'm very grateful for that.
One of the things people don't often know is that taking methotrexate along with a biologic like Enbrel, methotrexate can make you less likely to develop antibodies to the medication, to the biologic. So that's sometimes why, because I remember asking my doctor, why am I still on methotrexate? Because it was the first one, and then they added the biologic, and I was like, well, same as you. Can I wean down on it? And because my story is all longer because I'm now 21 years into having, or 22 years into having RA. Um, but just, that's one of the reasons. But where was it? Yes. Oh my gosh, I have so many follow-up questions.
Hit
Um,
me.
yeah, I know. Well, I'm curious, like when did you start sharing your story publicly? Like I discovered you on Instagram. You're like,
Hmm.
someone else who's like kind of posting like fun, fun videos, but also serious stuff sometimes, or just slice of life and then all this
Yeah.
travel. Yeah, when did you start sharing that?
So for me, I kind of I like to say I was in the chronic closet before. I had my diagnoses, but I didn't really share it with um my close people. They knew, of course, but like when people would see me out with like crutches and stuff like that. At this time, I thought like arthritis isn't really a sexy thing to be telling people, man. I can't be going on a date talking about arthritis, man. She's gonna think I'm weird or something. Like even I
Mhm.
felt like I was sort of like gate crashing the pensioners club a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know anyone else like my age with these kind of conditions. Like I was even looking through it the other day. I found the leaflets they gave me when I got diagnosed. Just all like load of old ladies in every picture, like doing like yoga. Like there was nothing. Like when I was in a rheumatology office, I didn't see no one who looked like me there. So I thought I was kind of embarrassed about it, to be honest. So I never even thought to look to social media for stuff like this. I never really thought to even talk about it. Like when I was on crutches, that like people come up to you. People always love talking to people on crutches. Like, oh, what happened? Da, da, da.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so, I remember the first time I told them the honest answer, and they like felt really awkward. The next time I was like, yeah, I got bit by a shark. Yeah, like surfing accident. Like I was telling all sorts. I was like, how? I basically put a game myself. Like, what's the most outrageous lie I can tell to someone, and they still believe
Oh,
it?
oh
So,
my gosh.
like my
Oh, I was gonna say, wait, I have one for you. Just an idea, because I think you might like
okay,
it. When
let's
I'm
do it.
wearing a splint, sometimes people say, what happened to your hand? And I say, my immune system. And they're like, what?
I just
And I'm
leave
like,
it there
my
and just
immune
waddle off.
system. It happened. My immune system thinks that all of this is bad and it's trying to make it go away. My hand. So no, but then I'd say, yeah, but and I think having that, I call it internalized ableism, right? This idea that maybe you're less than, or that, yeah, maybe, I mean, I had it too, internalized ageism, like I don't want to be seen as old. And you were young, you're a young, vibrant person. There's no representation of people like you at the time. You had never encountered any posters or any educational materials or anything. So, and then the general public doesn't know what these conditions are. So it's
Yeah.
totally, it's,
And
it,
I was too new to it to break it down properly because even I was trying to understand it myself. You know what I mean?
yes.
Like it's a lot to take in. Like I just finished university, man. What have I got to learn this for too? Now I've got to learn about my immune system and my like all this and my blood test and everything. So I sort of kept it to myself a bit. And then when COVID happened, like basically there was in the UK anyway, I basically got sent to like a prison sentence to stay inside and away from people to for my own safety because I was like on it was called the vulnerable list. So we had different rules and stuff from everybody else. And I was like, I was really scared. Basically, I was there thinking because I got no immune system because of my medication. I'm thinking if I get this, that's me finished. So I locked myself away. Like ended up being like a year and a half. I didn't see like no other human being. See the delivery man like through the window. Like I was proper. I didn't even go
Wow.
outside or nothing. Just these like four walls here. Um, so obviously when um obviously I got my friends asking me like, why are you not coming out? Like they said we can go to the park, and I'm like, no, it's different for me. And then I thought, listen, I knew I was gonna have a long time inside, and I've got a friend called Ava, and every time I went university with her, and we would like meet up for like coffee and that, like catch ups and that. And she would tell me she does like amazing things for charity. Like she does things with like kids with autism and helps people in like Kurdistan and everything. And she'd always have these amazing. I'm like, wow, like I really want to be like her. Like I'm just telling her. She's like, I'm like, what did you do? She's like, I saved 1,000 kids from ISIS. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got drunk in Shanghai. You know what I mean? Like it's not the same. It's not tit for tat. I'm like, I want to like make like a difference. So I was thinking, if I'm gonna be locked inside, at least like maybe I'll do a bit of charity work or something like that. So I was thinking about what like kind of charities I could like help or whatever. And then I saw there was a charity called Versus Arthritis, and I was like, okay, cool. I have arthritis. Maybe I could help with something, or I don't know, just do some admin stuff. I've got a bit of knowledge there. So I've like, DM'd them or emailed them or something. I'm like, hey, like I'm just wondering if there's anything like I could volunteer doing. Like I've got a lot of time, and there's only so much like FIFA a man can play in one day. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like help myself and let me help you. Let's do like a little
I
thing
love
like that.
that. That's amazing.
So so like they got back to me. They're like, how about we have like a little call? We'll like chat about things. I'm like, okay, cool. So I spoke with them, and I basically said the same story I told you, of my diagnosis story and how I've been like experiencing it since then. And they're like, you know what? This is like a really interesting story. Like, can we write an article about you? And I was like, wow, that's cool. But at the same time, I'm thinking, ooh, I've not told anyone I have arthritis. I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna go down. I don't know, like if I just didn't know how like my friends would take it, or like not even my friends, like like your friends that like you're cool with, but like you're not like close with, So I'm
Yeah.
like, is it gonna look
Acquaintances.
weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, acquaintances, and just like the wider public, I'm like they're gonna out me as an arthritic.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so I was a bit nervous, but I was like, you know what? Even if they do hate me, they can't. I'm not going to be outside for them to throw tomatoes at me. Like I'm locked inside. Try to find me. So
Low
maybe they'll
risk.
forget
Yeah.
maybe they'll forget by the time that, like the vaccine's gone. So it's cool. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, run it. And then when I saw they post the article, I was seeing, not only was I getting a lot of love from like even my friends and my acquaintances and that, and I was just seeing like strangers pulling up and saying like, wow, like I have this too. And that's when I started seeing that there was like other young people out there that are like going through the same thing. Like I didn't even when I was having that conversation with them, I didn't even think there was other young people with arthritis. I thought that's why he said that's really interesting, because I was young, not because of the fact that I'm in China and doing all this. I
Yeah.
thought it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
just the fact that like, oh, we found a young one.
Yeah.
So and then when when I've seen that there's like so many other people out there in the same situation as me, like one, it helped me embrace and accept my condition for me as well. But also I was thinking, you know what, like let me have a little see if I can like help the other people too. Like obviously I've tried to do like the charity thing with them, but I'm like, okay, like this is a tough time for everyone. Like not everyone's got the same like mental, I don't know, mentality or whatever to like get through. It was
Hmm.
not like COVID was the awful time for like everybody, when you had a condition or not. So I was like, okay, let me dip my toes in this advocacy thing. I didn't even know it was called advocacy. I was like, let me just post the few arthritis thing. The first one went well. Maybe I can help some other people. And then
Yeah.
from there, it just sort of spiraled. Then I started writing articles and doing videos and all this and that. And yeah, like COVID helped me come out the chronic closet and get my arthritis out for the world.
Well, and I mean, I really relate. Like I mean, I wasn't, I wasn't quite as nervous about talking about it because I'm just one of those people that's just like barfs all my thoughts out to the universe at all times. But
Mm,
I was more similar to you. I really, before I started sharing it more publicly, I was really thinking about all the negative parts of sharing my story versus the positives, right? So I was thinking, oh, but what if
right.
this? What if an employer sees it? What if, and then it's exactly the same. Once you see other people's responses, yeah, you're going to get a troll here or there. That's like, dude, you're weak. Like someone actually said that to me. I'm sure as a male figure, you get even more. Like, why can't you just open that? Why do you have to use a gadget? Like, you know. But seeing the responses of other people with arthritis, and just for the record, there are more in the United States. There's over 300,000 kids that have juvenile idiopathic arthritis and like similar kinds of like juvenile autoimmune arthritis. That's actually more than juvenile diabetes, but the awareness is so low. And that's just
Wow.
for kids under 18. So young adults, it's not the most common condition for young adults, but I was trying to find as you were talking, like what's the actual number of people living who are like young adults who have rheumatoid arthritis. I couldn't find it, but it's you're not the only one, but unless you see stories of other people, you feel like you're the only one. So that's, and I'm going to put a link to Versus Arthritis in the article about you because they're a great nonprofit
Yeah,
and
big them up.
they're amazing. Yeah, they've shared so many stories. And I think like I mentioned earlier, representation matters not just for the disease, but also for different like, genders and that again most
Mhm.
people I've talked to other men with arthritis who've said that they just felt really isolated because maybe they discovered a couple people's stories, but they're all female voices. Like, have you heard, what have some of the responses been, and what has it felt like to be a male like arthritis influencer or arthritis sharer, advocate, whatever you want to call it?
It is crazy though, because firstly, like I know AS, I hear a lot of women talking about it was difficult for them to get their diagnosis because there's a stereotype of that being a male disease.
Yes,
And
that's true.
I'm sure the other ones like that too, where people just wrongly think it as well. But if you do look online, you would never have that idea. You'd think it's the other way around.
Yeah, you're
But
right.
but realistically, both of those ideas are wrong because it's probably, I don't know the numbers, but I imagine it being 50-50. Like I don't really see it being a difference like that. But I think the issue is not like the men don't have it, it's the men don't want to speak out about it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
chronic conditions and that there's a lot of feelings involved. There's feelings, whether that's physical feelings of pain and then the emotional side too. And as men in a lot of society, we're sort of conditioned to not like open up about our feelings or like risk of feeling weak. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's the biggest stumbling block that a lot of people, like a lot of men, I would say, don't really want to open up about their condition like that because they think they might look weak. And I would admit it, like I was a little bit like that. That's why I was telling girls I got bitten by sharks and that. Because I was
yeah,
like, what am I, like this is not gonna do. But then I realized like um there's nothing weak about having a chronic illness. If anything, there's strength.
yeah,
Like the things that we have to go through on a regular basis, other people they couldn't dream of it. Most people are scared of syringes and pills and stuff like that. We have to go through that every day. We have
yeah.
to wait. We're playing life on hard mode, like waking up every
Hmm.
day. We're playing life on hard mode. There's, if anything, you're stronger. Like opening up about it. It takes a lot more strength to come out and explain your feelings and talk about these things than it is to sit there and just do nothing and pretend it's nothing's happening. That's how I see it anyway. And I try and get that across in the most jokingly way I can because I think that's the best way to get across to people that are on the fence. But like I get messages when I get messages from like guys with chronic illnesses, it's always like, oh, right, like you're like one of the only people I've seen like talking about this. Like, I wish I could do, but I do it then. Like I don't want to be like it's cool. Like I don't want to be the only one in here who's doing it like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I think that is a major reason why people don't want to come forward and do it. But listen, man, there's room for the medicated man. Them need to come through and show us that we're still here, man, and support the other guys because like the whole holding in feelings thing is just gonna make it worse for you. Like
yeah.
when I remember I think it was when I was coming back from my AS, I was in like a dark place mentally, to be honest with you. Like just before I got my condition, like one of my like best friends had passed away. And then I
Oh,
had the condition on top, and then I lost my job because of my AS. They actually sat me and threatened to tell China that I was a terror threat if I tried to get the money they owed me for canceling my contract. It was all yeah,
what?
yeah.
Oh
That was
my,
the whole other thing.
I'm so
Uh,
sorry. I'm
so
so
no, so my
sorry.
mind was spinning. I was like, um, I was just being a toxic man. I was punching walls and stuff in my grip. Like I couldn't even get up. I was just punching the wall there.
Yeah.
I was just holding it all in. And then I just thought, like, this is such a waste of energy, man. Like, I'm holding it in. It's making me suffer more, and I'm trying to get better. Do you know what I'm saying? So when I started
Mhm.
talking to people, like, I really like the relief of it was amazing. And when I started posting even more, like, I felt like I didn't have to hide anything. Like, I didn't have to lie about like my condition and stuff. I like found other people to connect with that understood me, and it's just such a better way of living, just being open about it and talking and not taking it out. You're gonna hurt yourself holding it in. Holding it in is gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
Like why are you gonna worry about what other people say? Yes, I don't really get that many like hate messages, but like if they do, that's just their problem. That's them projecting their issues,
Yeah.
man. I'm trying to get rid of mine. I don't mind about yours. If you want to have yours, do it over there.
Right. Right. No, that's so, so true. I really, really hope I know that this is like touching people who are listening. And you don't have to be public about every single part of your experience, but just if you've been wanting to, but then your fear is holding you back, hopefully this will inspire, people, because the more voices we get out there, the less like if you had seen someone's account, like flashback to 2017 or 16 when you got diagnosed, if you had come across the profile of someone like you who's traveling the world, who's doing their injection in a funny way in front of Big Ben in London and like in the Caribbean, and you know, you you wouldn't have felt so isolated, right? So
100%. I would have felt like, okay, there is like light at the end of the tunnel. Because I
hmm
think when you are diagnosed, you kind of need to remember like that is your start, and how you're feeling then is not how you're going to be feeling soon. Like you're getting to know your body, you're getting to know your like
yeah,
condition and what
yeah.
medications work and what other treatments and other exercises and whatever works for you. Um, so seeing someone at the end of that is like quite motivational to would have been quite motivational for me if I was to
Mhm.
see that. And I really do wish I looked at like finding like the online community a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Because like I was going at it alone for like so many years, and I never really had any conversations about my condition except for with my rheumatology, like my doctors, like once every six
Yeah,
months
yeah.
whenever they had time to see me. So like a lot of the time if I was to have a conversation, it was just falling on deaf ears a little bit. So like,
hmm
I do wish I found that there, but I'm so grateful I found it at the end of the day. Anyway, it's really helped me a lot, and I
Yeah.
met some amazing people out there too as well. There's so many. You'll meet some cool people from all around the place. Like a lot of the time when I go traveling, like you said, I meet up with like spoonies and stuff. Like when I'm there,
Yeah,
like
yeah. I want to do the arthritis world tour. It's just a concept I have where I just travel around the world and meet all the people. I sometimes look on the podcast and you can see where people have downloaded it from. It's like,
okay,
New Zealand, South Africa, Chile, all over Europe, Middle East. I'm like, wow, it's so cool. But
I come to London. I got you over here. I got you when you come to London. Don't worry.
Yay! Oh, totally. Yeah, I would love to. Well, I mean, for today, unfortunately, I want to talk to you forever, but I do need to start going to a couple of the rapid fire questions before we wrap up. Sadly, went by too
Right, no
fast.
problem.
But
Good.
I mean, you've just shared so much wisdom, but do you have anything that you particularly like to share, like best words of wisdom for somebody brand new diagnosed who might be listening?
Brand new diagnosed. I think don't waste your energy on what ifs, because if you're gonna go, you might go down a Google rabbit hole, and that's a dangerous thing too. It's good to stay informed, but when you start looking at all these like worst case scenarios and stuff, it's gonna get you worked up. But don't waste your energy on what ifs. Use that energy and getting yourself like not better, but like working on yourself instead. Trying things and trying to find what like bit of trial and error to work out what helps you the most. Because I
I
was
love that.
panicking. I was like, oh, like, I'm gonna be in a wheelchair forever, da, 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 da.
Mhm.
And that held me back way more than my condition probably was, because I had this mindset that I'm gonna like, what if this happens? What if that happens? Like that's wasted energy. Just focus on yourself. Be like, all right, cool. This is my
Yep.
situation now.
This is
Let me see
reality.
what I can do about it. Let me see
hmm
what's out there that can help me. Not what can it turn into. Like let me deal with this now. Because
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to leave. If you're going to have that energy of what ifs, you'll never leave your house. You'll never
Yeah.
get in a car. There might be, you're not going to start your car thinking, oh, I might crash today. You're just going to get in and do it. It's
Yeah.
the same energy as that. Just work on yourself now. Make sure you're doing the right things, or find out what the right things are for you. Is a way better use of your time and energy.
I love that. I'm gonna do a super cut sometime with all the different people's like best words of wisdom. And then
All
the
right.
last,
That was a
yeah.
very rapid fire. I'm sorry. I
No,
went
no,
off
no,
there.
there's no such thing. Yeah. And I'm just gonna skip to the last one. What does it mean to you to live a good life and thrive with rheumatic disease?
What
That's a
does it
hard one.
mean to wait? Say that
What does
again,
it
sorry.
mean to you? Like, what does it mean to you to live a good life with rheumatoid arthritis and ankylosing spondylitis?
It means that although I acknowledge that I'm gonna have to do things differently at times, I can still get out there and live the life that I want to do. I might have to do it differently, but I'm still
Mm-hmm.
gonna get out and do it and find the ways that I can do it. Like for example, like the whole traveling thing, that's always been my passion. Going there, seeing crazy stuff, being shocked by different cultures and things like that. Like I love that so much. And when I first got diagnosed, I thought it was over. But I was like, you know what? No, it's not. I'm gonna do it differently. This time
Yep. Yep.
I'm gonna have to smuggle my drugs into countries in a legal way and things like that. But like, yeah, just you might have to not cut corners, basically the opposite of cut corners. What is that? The opposite of cut corners is just
Yeah.
find the ways to make it
Hacks.
easier for your
Yeah.
body to do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Life
Find the
hacks.
life hacks. Find the
Yeah.
life hacks. Get in and still stay out here and thrive instead of surviving. You've got a passenger at all times. You got a plus one in your body. That's it. You got to sort of accept that he's coming with you on the trips, but you're still gonna have the trips and you're still gonna have a good time. You just got to keep the right energy and don't take things too seriously either. Your
Mm-hmm.
body is joking with you. It's only right that you laugh back. You know what I mean, man?
I
Find a
love
positive
that.
flip. Have a little bubble. Have a little joke. Sorry about it all.
It's
That's the way I like to
perfect.
look at it.
I love no, and you've used like that's actually a metaphor that I learned when learning acceptance and commitment therapy. They call it like the passengers on the bus metaphor, where you're like the things in your life that aren't going well, things that are like things causing you anxiety, whether it's your health issues, it could be some external thing like financial worries. Like, can you just let them be passengers on the bus along for the ride and not let it like derail you? So it's beautiful. Mic dropped. Okay. I'm going to put all the links for you in the show notes. They can find you at James Hollens right on Instagram.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for taking the time to share it. I know it's a lot to go back in time and like think about those early days of your diagnosis. So I appreciate you and
Appreciate you too. Long time fan, man. Any time for you, Cheryl. Come on, man. I'm
oh
very grateful for you to invite me here today, and it's been amazing chatting with you.
you
And
too.
yeah,
We'll have to do a part two because I feel like we have so much more.
oh man, we're just getting started, man.
Stay
Shout me when you're
tuned.
there.
Stay tuned. All right. Thanks again. Bye bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Arthritis Life podcast. This episode is brought to you by Room to Thrive, an educational program I created from scratch to help you go from overwhelmed to confident, supported, and connected in a matter of weeks. You can go through the pre-recorded course on your own, or you can take the course along with a support group. Learn more at the link in my show notes, or you can always go to www.myarthritislife.net. And if you like this podcast, I would be so honored if you took the time to rate and review it. I also encourage you to share it with anyone you know who might benefit from it. I also wanted to remind you that you can find full transcripts, videos, and detailed show notes with hyperlinks for each episode on my website, www.myarthritislife.net. If you have any ideas for future episodes, or if you want to share your story or wisdom on the podcast, just shoot me an email at info@myarthritislife.net. I can't wait to hear from you.